Hi guys, welcome back to The Flip Side. I'm your host, Marissa, and we have a bit of a different setup today. I think, fingers crossed, I got this microphone to work. It is currently 9:48 p.m. and I've been working on this since 3:30. I had to go to a store like an hour ago because there was still a cord that I was missing, despite the fact that I ordered like 4 cords on Amazon. I still was missing one somehow. So shout out to the guy at Guitar Center that helped me at 8:30 p.m. You are a real one. And I'm going to call you tomorrow morning. Well, tomorrow's Easter. I'm going to call you and let you know that I appreciate you. 10 out of 10 Yelp review, Guitar Center, Rochester, New York. Anyways, this has been a crazy ordeal. Almost had a few mental breakdowns. This is like the only thing that I told myself I was going to get done today. So if that didn't work out, I was probably going to lose my mind. Thankfully, we're here. Moving on. I've learned a couple of things since my last episode. A, how to set all of this up. And B, I'm trying to get better about not using filler words and to really think through what I want to say and speak slowly so that I don't get too ahead of myself. If you know me personally, that is something that I struggle with because I am definitely a fast talker. I also talk with my hands. While this is posted to YouTube, it is also being posted as a podcast. So when I'm doing things with my hands, like in my last episode, I was showing something with my hands about a basket toss section that I liked. It occurred to me after watching that back that if you're listening to a podcast, you can't see what I'm doing. It's a learning curve, everybody. But here we are. Welcome to episode 2. I'm going to be covering a few things today. One being the final match of the Pro Cheer League, which happened last weekend, and also some of the competitions that happened last weekend as well. Before I get into those, let me just say, we are very quickly approaching Summit and Worlds. I took this season off from All-Star Cheerleading, and the FOMO that I have to not be going to Florida in a couple of weeks is slowly chipping away at my mental health. I live in New York, so the weather is like super sketchy here, and it's been nice the last couple days, but nice is like 60 degrees. Usually, my seasonal depression, I can like get through it at this point because I'm usually leaving for Florida sometime in April. I don't have that this year. And as it turns out, not a fun time for Marissa. I will never do this again. Like, I don't care if I'm not working at an all-star gym or whatever the case is. If I'm not going to Florida or somewhere in the springtime, I'm gonna have to book a vacation. Because usually I'd go to Florida, we would do the competition, whether it was All-Star World, Summit, Worlds, whatever it was, and I would make a trip out of it. We would go to Disney, Universal. Like, I was staying for like 2 weeks. I don't have that this year, and that really sucks for me. Also, my boyfriend left and went to the Bahamas this weekend, so I've just been entertaining myself, and as it turns out, I don't think that I'm that fun. So that's my rant. If you have the opportunity and the skill level to still cheer, please do it. I would give up literally anything to have any skill level to fill in on a Worlds team. Like, I was just saying this to my friend Shai the other day. If I had any skill level whatsoever, like if you're a Worlds team and what you need is someone to mat talk, do some choreography, and like maybe be a bracer, please hit me up because I like miss competing and I think that it would be so fun, but I'm not that good. Any tumbling I had, let's just pretend that didn't exist. Stunting wise, I don't know about that right now. But if what you need is someone who's coachable, someone who's funny, who can listen, do some motions, brace something, let me know, because a girl is willing. And I feel like this time of the year, I see so many teams searching for side base, blah, 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 blah. Like they have too many crossovers, or they're looking for people to fill in or just add more people to their team before Worlds and Summit. And I so desperately wish I could be one of those people, but I can't, because I'm not going to reach out to a gym and be like, hi, Cheer Extreme, I can't offer you any of the tumbling you want, but can I interest you in a really good prep? Yes or no? This is my phone number. Thank you so much. So let this be your sign. If you're thinking about cheering again or filling in on a team, do it, because there are old people like me, and I would literally give up just about anything to be able to do it. So welcome to my TED Talk. As usual, I have multiple pages of notes in my Wicked journal. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is one of my favorite topics this season, and that is the Pro Cheer League, who had match number 5 in Nashville, and that was their final match of the season. They had a special guest in the crowd, and it was Mark Cuban from Shark Tank. I have no idea how he ended up there, but we love to see it, Mark. Thank you so much. Their judges were Vontae, who was the coach at Trinity Valley Community College, Allie Moffitt, who was the coach at Cheersport Great Whites, Santuan McCrae, and he is most known for his 1.5 to split when he cheered for Top Gun, Denise DeCherry, she coached LSU, and Asia Chapman, who was the coach for University of Alabama. That is a pretty stacked judging panel, and I think it's really fun, especially, honestly, I'm coming from a high school cheer background as well, and sometimes the judges I see at competitions, it's a little scary. At match number 5, every event was earning double the points because this was their final match of the season, and the winner of this match was going to receive $15,000, but the overall champion of season 1 of the Pro Cheer League would also receive $25,000. So there were some big things at stake here. As usual, this event started with the 2-minute, 15-second routines, and I have a couple of notes from the 4 routines that we saw. Atlanta Air had a really good shotgun section, and that was the cleanest I've seen them all season. Golden State Grit had 2 basket toss sections in a row now. Dallas Drive, I said wow to their toss to 2-2-1 in their pyramid section. There was a little struggle with that in match number 4, but in match number 5, oh, you can tell that was practiced. They were never going to let that mistake happen again. They were never not going to catch their flyers that are at the top of that structure. It was so, so good. And then Miami Metal, they had 2 tumblers going across the floor that did double layouts at the end of their running tumbling. Crazy. My shout out athletes for Atlanta Air are Corey Pullen and Angel Rice. For Golden State Grit, I had Claudio Vargas, who also, I'm hoping his wrists are okay. I will get into that a little bit later, but he threw a tumbling pass that made me very, very nervous for his hands, fingers, and wrists. So I'm hoping he's okay. Standout athletes for Dallas Drive are James and Maddie Hayes, and for Miami Metal, Taylor Shapiro and Colin the Rhino. In my last episode, I talked about all of the ins and outs of the PCL this season, and now that you guys know those, I'm not going to get too into that, but I am going to talk about just some of the things that happened in this match because it was very intense. Everybody really brought it for the last match of the season. There were a lot of challenges. There was some booing. There was some booing by the coaches. I saw you, Paige. No, it was actually really funny. And I think it's fun that, I mean, you would never do that at an all-star competition or high school or like whatever, but I thought that it was really, really funny that it was almost encouraged that the crowd is audibly booing a call made by the judges or the instant replay or whatever. I just thought it was really funny. So for Atlanta Air, some of the highlights, like I said, their routine was the cleanest I've seen it all season. They also did 40 popovers in co-ed endurance, which is a crazy number. Like I said before, my arms would quite literally fall off of my body. There was a challenge for all girl endurance about foot control. The flyer has to have her bottom foot controlled by her bases and back spot, but also it only counts as a heel to heel if the flyer's entire hand grabs her foot in each heel stretch. We thought that they broke the record and did 50 heel to heel TikToks, but after the challenge and instant replay, they matched the record and only hit 46. 46 is still an incredible number. And while Atlanta Air hasn't been first or second in the bracket all season long, they really have shown their technique and their drive for wanting to be the best. They're very good in the endurance competitions or the big trick competitions. So I'm really excited to see what they can pull out next year. There are also already incredible athletes at Stingray, so I'm hoping that next season more of those homegrown cheerleaders do join Atlanta Air because, like, could you imagine some of those girls on Orange? You have to be over 18 plus to be in the PCL, but I just think especially some of the girls on Orange would be amazing because they already have the technique and the body control and all of the things. So the Pro Cheer League would be right up their alley if they wanted to further their cheer career after high school or even after they age out. Atlanta Air is currently undefeated in all-girl big trick, but they did have 2 falls in co-ed big trick. I love watching them. I think that they're so good. I think they especially showed so much growth over this season and came a really, really long way. So I'm really excited to see what season 2 has in store for Atlanta Air. Moving into Golden State Grit, so they did 40 co-ed popovers as well. They did have a flag thrown in Flash Pyramid, but you cannot challenge something when it's called via instant replay. So that was just something that they weren't able to fix. And then I also wrote their extended single-based hand-in-hand was done by only girls. Period. Yes, we love that. I love when a co-ed style stunt isn't actually done co-ed and it's all girl. I think it's so great. I also wrote down that Claudio Vargas did fall in the last pass head-to-head game. This was towards the end of the match, and I'm hoping he was okay. He was kind of shaking his hands out, like as if his wrists were bothering him after that. But what a way to finish off. He did his last pass and kind of stumbled coming out of his skill. So he decided to add on to that just, so that it didn't look like he fell out of it or under or over rotated. And on the very last skill, I believe it was a double tuck, he under rotated and landed like hands and knees and like with his wrists kind of bent. And it made me super nervous, but what a way to show out. I believe he is a captain on Golden State Grit, and it really shows because a lot of people might get frustrated or let themselves give up in a moment like that, and he just kept pushing and kept going. For Dallas Drive, I wrote down they did 29 popovers in co-ed endurance, and they did 32 TikToks for all-girl endurance. We thought it was 37, but there was a challenge, and it ended up being 32. So currently, the record for that in the PCL is still 46. Hopefully, somebody in season 2 can beat that number. I wrote down that they did a beautiful all-girl big trick section, and their co-ed big trick was also amazing with their flyer, Anu. She is one of the best that there is. She is so good and such a fun little performer. I love that she wears her pigtails because I just think that's something that she's known for. For Miami Medal, they did 68 popovers in co-ed endurance. 68. I don't think the record used to be 52. Colin is that guy. He is so good. 68 popovers. Could you imagine? Props to him and to his flyer for being as clean and crisp as possible, because 68 popovers in, I think they give them 45 seconds, is crazy. And he already said he wants to come back for season 2 because his goal for himself is to do 100, which is just, I will be passed out on the floor the day that that comes, because that's crazy. Miami Metal also threw a flag in Flash Pyramid because Golden State Grit may not have been over the line when they were building their structure, but it didn't end up mattering. They figured out an instant replay that Grit was over the line, so it couldn't be challenged. And then Miami Metal won Flash Pyramid. They also did a full twisting rewind and all-girl big trick, 10 out of 10. The winner of the last match and of season 1 of the Pro Cheer League went to Dallas Drive. They were amazing. They've had a really good season. Every single match that they had, you could tell that they were just trying to one-up themselves, and all of their hard work really showed. I am so curious to know who is going to come back from these teams season 1 to season 2. Hopefully they have a lot more returners, because I really think that they've all come so far this season that I would love to see their work just continue on and keep on going. So I will definitely have my eye out for when those tryouts and rosters come out, because I would love to see how many people are veterans or how many are rookies. Overall, the Pro Cheer League had such a good season. I'm really excited to see if they add new teams eventually, if they add new head-to-head games, new rules that they have. Throwing flags only became something you could do a little of the ways into the season, and challenging things. So I'm just really excited to see where this new and fun experiment in our sport is going to take us. And it's really cool to see cheerleading finally getting the professional notoriety that it's always deserved. The next subject I'm going to talk about is One Up and Reach the Beach. Both of these events happened this past weekend. And a couple of things that I noted from some of the teams that I was watching. Senior Elite had stunt issues both days, but I'm a big Senior Elite fan. Never count them out. They've had seasons before where they may have issues. It's, what's that saying, like any given Sunday? You never know what Worlds is going to bring. And I always think it's so funny to see people online with such confidence say that they know who's going to win or lose, because the reality is we never know. Nobody ever knows. I'm all for having your favorites. I mean, we all have them. I have them too. But you just never know what's going to happen. And I think that because a lot of people are counting out Senior Elite right now, they're just going to come back for Worlds even stronger and even better, just to blow everybody else's opinions out of the water. So I'm really excited to see that. They're always going to be one of my favorite teams to watch. And they're on a pretty good streak at Worlds right now. So I have my fingers crossed for them. Honestly, better to get any little issues over with anywhere but Worlds. I don't think that having issues at a competition prior means that you're automatically not going to win the last competition of the season. So we'll see what happens. For Stingrays Orange, they were also at One Up. I love Rain Athletics. Aqua did this, I want to say last season too. I'm sure more teams do it, but that stood out to me. I love a hand-in-hand or some kind of inversion where all of the flyers flex their feet on the exact same count. It's just one of those tiny little details that as a viewer or as a judge or a coach, it just makes you sit back and appreciate that those coaches of that team really did take into account every single tiny detail they could to improve their technique and their cleanliness. And you wouldn't think that something that small would make that big of a difference, but it really does. It looks so visually appealing to see every single flyer flex their feet on the exact same count right before the dip. I don't know. I'm a sucker for that, and I really noticed it at One Up, and it was just that those tiny little things are what's going to set them apart from everybody else, because there are so many coaches that maybe don't see those minute details, but all of those minute details, that's 0.01, 0.02. I mean, all of those points add up. So I really love that they zeroed in on something that might have seemed so small just to make themselves even cleaner than they were before. In talking about Senior Elite and Orange, we do need to talk about the fact that Senior Elite had a raw score of a 49.03 and Orange had a raw score of a 48.9. Now, Stingray Orange did end up winning at 1UP. They did win this division. But I have seen some things on social media, and I think a lot of the takeaway is so many of these teams have been going against each other for basically their entire cheer careers. So you might see teams. I saw a video of someone and she posted on TikTok, like, anyways, our raw score was higher. And so many people in the comments are just like dragging this child for saying something that honestly is true. Their raw score was higher. But also, this is all the fun and games of this sport. It's not like she's saying something disrespectful or rude or crazy or anything like that. So there are plenty of teams who shade each other in their music, in their motions. I know that there's a few teams. I believe someone on Stingray's Peach is currently doing the LJ motions right now that are viral in her routine. Like, this is just something that happens in cheerleading. It's really not that deep. And it's really not something that I think everyone needs to go on social media and like, I can't believe that you would say that, blah, blah, blah. It's not that serious, guys. It's all part of the competitive nature. Like I said, they've literally competed against each other for so long, and these teams have always had a rivalry, but rivalry does not equal being disrespectful. There was also a new face on Senior Elite at 1UP, and that is one of their alumni, and her name is Brinley. I'm assuming that she's probably staying on the mat for Worlds as well, and I did hear that Elizabeth Mort, who was another alum, is also going to be back on the Worlds mat. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, if you can do it, you should. Take advantage of the opportunities, especially if you haven't aged out yet. Girl, go super senior. Do it. Another thing I wrote down from 1UP is from Cheer Extreme SSX. Riley Kegel tumbled with one hand. She tumbles right down the middle. I want to say maybe it was like a round off handspring double, something like that. One hand. I know so many people that can't even do it with two, and Girlfriend is doing it with one. She is that girl. She is so talented. One thing I didn't love at 1UP that I wrote down, and this is just a preference, their background was so dark that the easiest teams to watch were the ones with bright uniforms. Watching Orange was super easy because their orange uniforms stood out against all of the black. The floor was black. A lot of the stuff in the backdrop was black. Senior Elite competed in their black uniforms, and it was just a lot harder to see. I don't know if that works for you or against you. I don't know how many coaches are really putting that into perspective either. But I do know that at Worlds, everything is a little brighter in the background, so you can see a little bit more of everything, and you have a lot more clarity when you're watching. It was just a lot of like black uniforms, black background, black mat. Some teams had black shoes, and it's just hard to pick out or hard to see the cleanliness or even the mistakes. I don't know if coaches make the uniform decision with intent, because I know a lot of these Worlds teams especially have multiple different uniforms in different colors, but it was just something that I noticed that I didn't really love. I've noticed it at other competitions too. Majors is a pretty dark competition, and I feel the same way. It's just a lot harder to watch when a team's not wearing a uniform that doesn't blend in with the floor in the background. A few teams that I wrote down that had very high scores from the weekend. From Reach the Beach, South Jersey Storm Mini Mist is a mini level 2, and they got a 99.02. Rain Athletics Drizzle J3 Flex got a 98.75. South Jersey Storm Brellas, that is a U16 level 4 co-ed, got a 99.55. That is crazy. And South Jersey Storm Rain is a U18 level 4 co-ed, and they got a 98.9. Whatever's going on at South Jersey Storm, they have the recipe for what it takes to be successful. I also wrote down Cat 6 from South Jersey Storm. I follow a coach at that gym on TikTok, and her daughter Meadow is on Cat 6. They're incredible. They are a junior level 6 team, and they're so good. There are so many future world champions on that team. It's crazy. I think it's even more impressive coming out of youth and junior aged kids to be doing level 6 or even level 5 skills for that matter. And they are so talented and they are such good performers. I can't wait to keep watching those kids and following their journey on whatever world's teams they end up on, because their futures in this program are so, so bright. And I hope that they stick with this sport because they are so talented. But South Jersey Storm is killing it and doing an amazing job. They are a gym that I don't feel like a lot of people know a lot about or hear a lot about, but you should really check into them because they're very, very talented. And for some of their teams to be scoring 99s, a 99.55, that's crazy. I should honestly probably look into what the highest score in All-Star Cheerleading is. I don't even know. I remember Gym Time Chrome had a really, really high world score a few years ago. I wonder what that was. But a 99.55 is crazy, especially when you're a U16. That's wild. And then shout out to Rain Athletics. I talked about them in my last episode too. I've been to that gym twice. Their owners are so nice, so kind, so inviting. The last time I was there was fall of last year, and I was watching Aqua, and they let my friend and I give Aqua some corrections after they were running full outs, and that was really, really fun. It's just fun. It felt like such a family and home environment, and for them to open their doors to essentially complete strangers and let us in just to see their process was really, really cool. And they're so talented. That gym is approaching, I want to say their 14th season, and they have so much to show for it. So many Summit champs, Summit top 3. They have a few Worlds rings under their belt. They are just doing such a good job. And they live in such a concentrated area in Pennsylvania that is filled with other all-star gyms. But Rain Athletics proves season and season again that they are just not someone to mess with. And they are so good, and they just keep getting better. At 1UP, some of the highest scores were Rock Solid Halos, that is a Y1, and they scored a 98.55. Woodlands Elite Master Chiefs, I almost said Master Chefs. That's a Y2, they scored a 98.6. Stingrays Yellow is a youth level 4, and they scored a 98.8. And JPAC Illuminate Senior 4 scored a 98.7. I'm really excited going into Summit season and Worlds because I love seeing how consistent some of the scores are, and scoring 98s and 99s. I know Stingrays Yellow, I've seen them a few times. There's a daughter on that team. I follow her mom on social media as well. So I've seen updates from them kind of throughout the season. But scoring that high is so, so crazy. That is everything that I wrote down from the events that happened last weekend. Stay tuned for my next episode where I'm going to recap everything that happens in Daytona. This competition is coming up in a couple of days, and it is the end of the road for college cheerleading teams. And I'm really excited. As soon as that schedule comes out, I'm going to be making a whole entire list of all of the teams that I want to see. So stay tuned for that episode. That is all I have for today, and I will catch you on the flip side.